In the late 8th century, the northern edge of the Frankish Empire was a violent, shifting frontier. Charlemagne was pushing his borders into the territories of the Saxons and Frisians, attempting to hammer these rebellious tribes into submission. For many in the path of the army, conversion was a requirement enforced at the edge of a sword. But where military campaigns faced a cycle of constant revolt, Saint Ludger established a stable presence. A scholar born of the very tribes Charlemagne was fighting, he moved into these hostile lands unarmed and founded institutions that outlasted the empire's military presence. To explain his success, his medieval biographers looked beyond politics. In the text known as the Vita Tertia, they aligned the events of Ludger's life with three biblical models: the Book of Exodus, the Trials of Daniel, and the letters of the Apostle Paul. The biographers suggest that Ludger's actions were guided by the scriptural roadmap, a series of ancient parallels that shaped how he approached a fractured and pagan world. Ludger was a product of the highest intellectual circles of his day. He trained under Gregory of Utrecht and eventually traveled to England to study at York under Alcuin, a man who served as a primary advisor to Charlemagne himself. When the biographers describe this early period of study and Ludger's eventual call to leadership, they lean heavily on the Book of Exodus, drawing a direct comparison between Ludger and Moses. Just as Moses was spared in his youth and educated in the elite circles of Egypt, Ludger was uniquely prepared by his schooling for a task of massive proportions. The biographers viewed his academic training as a form of divine preparation. When the time came for his consecration as bishop, Ludger expressed deep hesitation. He spoke of his unworthiness and a desire to remain in the quiet of his studies, a moment the Vita Tertia links to Moses' own fear when called at the burning bush. Divine mandate eventually pushed him past that reluctance. Like Moses leading his people out of Egypt, Ludger left the safety of the library to lead the tribes toward a new religious identity. That mission nearly ended in the year 784. A massive Saxon uprising led by the chieftain Wittekind swept through the region. Rebellious tribes burned churches and drove the missionaries out, forcing Ludger into exile. Ludger did not call for a military counterstrike. He traveled south to Rome and then to the monastery of Monte Cassino. There, he lived under the rule of Saint Benedict, trading the chaos of the frontier for a life of silence and prayer. While Charlemagne used his armies to suppress the rebellion, Ludger waited. When the fighting subsided, he returned to a region physically and spiritually scorched, tasked with rebuilding among deeply resentful people. This period of exile functioned as a time of purification. In the stillness of the monastery, Ludger developed the spiritual focus required to return to the hostile territory without relying on the sword for protection. Upon his return, Ludger sought to establish a monastery at Verden, but he was blocked by a physical impediment. The site was covered by a forest so dense and unyielding that construction was considered impossible. The Vita Tertia references Daniel, highlighting the three men in King Nebuchadnezzar's fiery furnace. Just as fire only consumed their restraints, impediments are turned into advantages. A miraculous storm fells the dense trees, providing the exact lumber required to build the monastery's foundation. For Ludger's mission, this was the central lesson. Faith does not seek to aggressively destroy obstacles. It waits for them to be transformed into the materials used to build a new community. In the year 805, Ludger was consecrated as the first bishop of Münster. While the Frankish state continued to use aggressive, militant tactics to secure its borders, Ludger took a different approach within his diocese. His final model was the Apostle Paul. Ludger used the first epistle to the Corinthians as his blueprint, mirroring Paul's efforts to establish order and correct doctrine in a fractured society that was still deeply rooted in pagan traditions. He focused on educating a local clergy and respecting local customs rather than forcing change through fear. This approach is best seen in the story of Bernlef, a blind Frisian bard whom Ludger is said to have healed, winning over a local cultural leader through compassion rather than coercion. The results were geographically distinct. While the empire's borders were marked by constant rebellion, Ludger's network of parishes in Westphalia and Frisia grew into a stable, lasting presence that integrated into the local culture. By following the blueprint of 1 Corinthians, Ludger succeeded where the sword failed. He established a unified identity among a divided people by prioritizing instruction and patience over military force. The stone structures he built still stand in places like Essen-Werden and Münster. They are the physical remains of a mission that survived 1,000 years of political and cultural shifts. Ludger's life was written as a living commentary on the Bible. His biographers didn't see him as a politician, but as a man whose journey proved that the stories of the prophets could be reenacted in his own time. In a world often defined by the pursuit of power, Ludger's history suggests that the most lasting changes are not achieved by the sword. They are built through the patient endurance of a man who lets his own life be shaped by a different kind of text.